You know those moments when you're caught in a funk, a mental loop, or an emotional storm, and you just can't snap out of it? Well, today you're going to learn a couple of tools to be able to mitigate that self sabotage trying to take over. Today, we're going to be talking about something called a pattern interrupt. It comes out of something called NLP or neuro linguistic programming. This is a way for to interpret unwanted or unconscious habits, patterns, and behaviors. You know those moments when you're caught in a funk, a mental loop, or an emotional storm, and you just can't snap out of it? Well, today you're going to learn a couple of tools to be able to mitigate that self sabotage trying to take over, to understand the importance of a pattern interrupt and how to leverage it. It is important to understand the role of the subconscious on a very basic level. The subconscious job is to automate your life as much as humanly possible. Things like what your autonomic nervous system takes care of, right? So it's going to be your breathing, your respiration, digestion, heart rate, and perspiration. It's also activities that you engage with on a regular basis, such as driving to familiar places, brushing your teeth, and the shower routine that you have. There are many automated habitual exercises or habits that you have throughout the day that you don't even think of. That's your subconscious kicking in. It is also where we store undesirable or outdated patterns and behaviors. This is neither good nor bad. It is just part of the role and the functioning of the subconscious. But if you see that there are these habits or patterns or behaviors that are actually working against you towards the direction that you want to go, towards your goals, your dreams, your desires, this could cause some serious friction. So let's look at some goals. When we are making goals, we have future ambitions, right, for our lives out in front of us. We are taking that bold step towards the future to curate or co create our own destiny, the version of ourselves that we desire. However, it's important to note that 95%, yes, 95% of your decision making throughout any given day is actually coming from your subconscious programming. That leaves only 5% of your conscious goal making or conscious decision making from the prefrontal cortex because we're constantly falling back into those old habitual patterns and habits. It is a job of the subconscious. This is why it is so hard to make these significant changes and to do the things or the action steps needed to pivot in the directions of your goals, dreams, desires. Because 95% of your thoughts, your movements, your emotional responses are leveraged off of these old experiences and patterns that are encoded all the way down to your very DNA. This will naturally trigger your self sabotage, which we're going to look at more in depth in a future video. But for right now, just know that every aspect of your mind and your body will move in full force to keep you where you've always been, protecting your baseline, protecting what is familiar and what is known. This is where a pattern interrupt comes in very handy. You need a clear goal, number one, a clear action step, number two, and then a pattern interrupt to bypass the powerful subconscious programming that will do its very best to keep you exactly where you're at because it is familiar, it is comfortable, and it is known. Even if it is dysfunctional or toxic or manipulative, it is known, it is therefore familiar, it is less scary than something that is much better for you, but that is new territory. This is why we design pattern interrupts throughout our day to break the patterns and cycles that we're constantly doing just out of repeat and that 95% of our subconscious programming that's automated. This is where you're able to begin to respond rather than just react from that subconscious programming. So let's look at a couple of examples and different kinds of pattern interrupts. One of the best pattern interrupts is a cold exposure, but just splashing cold water on your face or neck, possibly an ice plunge, or just jumping into a cold shower. Oftentimes, I will suggest this to individuals or clients that struggle with suicide ideation or self harm or ruminating thoughts that are just really getting out of control. Because when you get into a cold exposure shower or a plunge, the only thing you're thinking of is going to be being able to breathe, right? So it's going to interrupt or break that mental looping and that thought pattern to be able to get you just at least 3 to 7 minutes where you can make a different decision. Not only is this a great pattern interrupt, but it also has some incredible biological benefits, right? So there is 250% increase in dopamine, a 530% increase in norepinephrine, a 350% increase in metabolism. There's also associated increase in energy, better sleep, reduced inflammation. It also conditions the cardiovascular system and it increases resilience and grit. And really, for this to work, if you're going to use this as a pattern interrupt and want the benefits of this, science says it's only 11 minutes a week that you need to be able to engage in this. So that's 2 or 3 minutes every few days. Simply put, get in a cold shower for a few minutes, and within moments, you will have a physiological break. Your mind will stop looping, and your emotional content will start drowning away. It'll just kind of fall naturally away. So let's take a look at some other pattern interrupts that you can use. Another one would be an alarm on your phone or a hair tie that's around your wrist or a ribbon around your wrist. Both of these are going to be reminders of trying to engage in something different than you normally are engaging in. So another one is music or physical movement. I suggest HIT exercises. If you're at a desk all day long, just to break your state, do a pattern interrupt is to do some push ups, do some squats, anything to break that cycle. Another thing that you can do is count backwards from 100. So, or if that's easy for you and you're still struggling with mental looping, then count backwards from 100 by sevens or by fives. Just anything to preoccupy the mind to engage in something different so your body has a moment just to relax back into baseline. Another one is to change the scenery. Just get up from your desk, remove yourself from any situation that you're in, and just say, hey, I need a minute, and go walk around the block. Even just 2 minutes of being able to do this will clear your mind and bring you back to baseline. Make sure when you're doing this to be taking deep breaths in, double your exhales out, walk slowly and methodically, and let your mind just kind of relax back. Another idea that I oftentimes will share with my clients is to watch a funny video. And I'll put a link in the episode notes of the video that I tend to show in sessions. And it's actually an advertisement for Coca Cola. I'm not an affiliate. It's hilarious. And I laugh every time I see it. But it's called Man Laughing on Train. And laughing is contagious. Joy is contagious. And when you're watching this video, you shift your state dramatically within a matter of moments. And then at that point, you have a moment and a choice to be able to choose something different. You don't have to go through the same replays you've been playing out day to day to day. You just broke your state. So now you can choose something different. Look for what is good. Look for what is working. Look for what feels good in the moment. And after watching something as simple as a movie or I recorded a podcast just recently, and the individual mentioned watching babies laugh. And I thought that was brilliant. Anything to shift your state. Another one that we would use an inpatient would actually be spicy foods or sour foods. Incredibly sour or spicy will help to take your mind off of what it's looping on. So, again, as a state break, you're trying to break that mental looping, physical looping, or emotional looping. This could also look like a jingle, or it's also known as an anchoring statement, and YFFR calls it a cognitive declaration. But it's all the same thing. At the end of the day, it's just an internal dialogue that breaks your mental looping, right? So you're inserting some sort of a jingle or a dialogue that's going to interrupt that inner critic that keeps going off. That inner critic is also known as something that cuts you down from the inside, death by a thousand cuts from the inside out. So what you're trying to do is break that constant looping. And a jingle is a fantastic way to do this. The first time I heard this was actually from a gentleman called Mark Devine, who is a retired Navy SEAL commander. And his personal mental jingle while he was going through SEAL training was looking good, feeling good. I should be in Hollywood. So this is kind of a funny one, and it's okay to make it goofy and funny. What you're really doing is breaking this mental patterning of I can't do this, this isn't worth my time, all that negative thinking. But if you're repeating to yourself, looking good, feeling good, I should be in Hollywood, like Mark Divine did, it doesn't leave any room for that inner critic to interject, right? So let's go through a couple other examples of what some of these mental pattern interrupts or jingles could look like. I am proud, I am free, I let things be. Snap, crackle, pop, and let those things drop. Tired of the same old thoughts? Let's break this cycle with a jingle that rocks. Worry and stress, I'm letting go of the mess. Stuck in a loop, it's time to recoup. Snap, snap, snap. Let your worries take a nap. Out with the old, in with the bold. Shake off the stress, it's time to impress. Snap, crackle, pop. Negative thoughts, it's time to stop. I am breaking the mold and letting my thoughts unfold. Okay, so you guys get the point. In the slide, there's going to be more examples. However, it's just the idea of breaking that mental pattern, right? So another thing that you can do is something called a future template. Once you have broken that pattern, right, that mental dialogue, that inner critic that's constantly cutting you down from the inside out, death by a thousand cuts, man. What you do next, once you've broken that pattern, take a deep breath in, extend your exhale out. And then I want you to engage in something called a future template. Instead of feeling the way you were prior to the pattern interrupt, what would you desire to feel? What is it that you would like to experience? Be very specific about that. Is it calm? Is it collected? Is it organized? What is the adjective? What is the experience? And then embody that feeling. You know what it feels like because you've experienced it before, even if it was just for a moment. You know what that feeling feels like. Pull it in, every cell in your body. Pull it all the way in. When you pull it into every cell in your body and you start actually infusing yourself with the way you desire to feel, this future template with the emotional content, the felt state of, that's when you actually start creating the blueprint or the roadmap for you to be able to access that. You're giving your body and your mind and your emotions a direction to go, a North Star. So, this point is actually really important. So, after the pattern interrupt, you have 3 to 7 minutes. Usually it's little closer to 3 minutes to make a different choice. So let's just pull back and recap for just a second. We were talking about pattern interrupts, and I just told you about the next step, right? So pattern interrupt, and then you're going to go into a future template, charged and leveraged and catalyzed by the felt state of that. So, when we make new goals and we want to change habits, I need you to remember that only 5% of your conscious mind is doing this. 95% is actively fighting against the change you're trying to make. So it's very important to leverage pattern interrupts that work for you. I hope this was helpful for you. And I know this has made a big difference in not only my life, but my client's life as well. And I do have a request from you. Please like and share and comment. And if you can, leave a review. It helps the algorithm see us and get the message out that is shared in these videos to people that need it the most. And as always, may you be the change that you desire to see in the world. And I will see you in the next video.